So what if, instead of playing major powers in an EU4 multiplayer game, we all played small nations with hard starts? Well, that's exactly what we did after the new Lions of the North DLC came out. I was playing the Byzantine, once considered one of the harder nations to play because of their proximity to the Ottomans. However, what if I told you, since the Origins DLC patch, there's a 90% sure way to always win the first war against the Ottomans? All you have to do is first get your troops on this side. Oh, the Turks declared war on us. Well, this isn't good. And I lost, so that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Nah, I'm just kidding. Back to the actual MP game. There was actually quite a few players near us. There was Albania, Serbia, Moldova, and a Kaluniu. Now, you might think my strategy is just to call in all of the players around the Ottomans and try to kill the Ottomans as fast as possible. However, the more players get involved, the less land we'd be able to take and the slower we'd be able to grow. So I decided to cooperate only with Albania, as his interests were only in Dalmatia and Italy. And yes, this is in vanilla. I actually have a second vanilla campaign besides this, which will be coming out shortly. And I think after watching both this campaign and that campaign, you will see why we play with multiplayer mods.
For all these years, I've been a gecko, man. Take a hike, jerk.
Alright, let's start real quick. Indebted to the burgers. Need to build a bunch of dudes. Just like that. Like this. Nobility. Go like this. Cancel. Make my rivals. If you watch a lot of Byzantine runs, you've probably seen this strat before. It's quite simple, actually. First of all, you do need to make a lot of galleys, as well as a bit more troops than you start with. You need to declare war on Epirus as soon as you can, so like 11th of December, while you're still building troops and galleys. We want to build about like 9-10 extra galleys than what we have. And when we attack Epirus, we want to take our one core province in Arta, and then we want to vassalize Epirus and make them a march. Once our galleys are done, we now move all of our troops to Constantinople. It helps if the Ottomans attack someone on the Asian side of Anatolia, which he did in this case, which is very good for us because he will move at least one of his armies to the other side of the strait. We then declare war on the Ottomans. We will put our boats in the strait, and the reason why we needed so many galleys was not only to win navally against the Ottomans, but it's also so we can barrage Gallipoli, because we're going to barrage it and we are going to rush the fort. Once you get Gallipoli, you're probably going to have to deal with at least one Ottoman stack. I did delete the fort in Moria, but after defeating this one stack, you have all of this land to siege down, which should give you about between 60 to 80 war score, depending on if you beat any armies. We can then peace out the Ottomans for basically max money and a bunch of land. In this scenario, I'll let Albania peace out first for one province and max money. That way we can min-max the amount that we get from Ottomans, and that's it. You know, we can just siege everything all over again. And then it was our turn to peace out, which I was able to take actually quite a bit. And if you notice, I'm taking a bunch of the Greek stuff, leaving the Turkish capital for free war score in the next war, and also taking a bunch of Bulgarian stuff so we can release Bulgaria. Then, since immediately we got a bunch of cores, we declare war again on the Ottomans, which is a truce break, bringing our stability down, and we block the strait and siege again. For this war, obviously you can't get enough war score from just sieging, so you are going to have to commit a lot of mercenaries, just like I did here, then bait some Ottomans troops. So dock your navy, then bait some troops over, put your navy back in, and split their army, stack wipe their army, and repeat until the Ottomans have no more army. Then it's just sieging until we have enough war score, and we take back our last core to take, give Bulgaria a bunch of land, as well as give us some land on the Asian side of Anatolia. Now it's 1454, 10 years into the game, and we are a nice little cute nation, already pretty big compared to how we started. And because we took max money 2 times from the Turks, our debt isn't that bad as well. This does mean the players near the Ottomans will start expanding into the Ottomans, like Ikaluniu and Serbia. However, this is not really a big issue. We already got all of the good stuff from the Ottomans, and we also got max money twice from the Ottomans when they were bigger in size. Now it was all about nation building and min-maxing. If there's only some way I can get rid of my bad king and my bad heir.
You are weak sperm. You are weak sperm. This is the strong sperm. This is the Greek god. Okay, Greek god.
If you have Greek god, you would have win, but you lose.
Lose where? Lose where?
Since our heir was so bad, I disinherited him despite our king being pretty old. I was trying to roll for talented and ambitious daughter, an event that you can roll when your king is over the age of 40, but unfortunately it did not happen and we lost our king and got a really bad replacement king with low legitimacy. This also spawned pretenders, which I decided to let them win. Pretenders, go to victory. It's a 3-0-3 with cruel and indulgent. He's 19 with 3 traits. What the frick?
Habibi, you're gonna attack Cam.
No.
My pretender's getting killed.
Habibi, not like this.
I'm gonna keep re-rolling kings through pretenders and get armies that way. But another pretender rises, dude. And I have 2 generals. I have Antonius Ducas and Antonius Juan Ducas. Okay, we need another prediction. Is this pretender better?
Yeah, you need like 50.
Alright, my next pretender is about to take the throne. This is my second pretender. The Albanian Byzantium alliance. Oh, Venice declared war with the Ottomans.
Wait, do we just let him win and then... like naval what? They have what, 16k in Venice?
If we can get these islands...
Oh, Milan got it. Quick, go siege the island, quick. Because Milan owns it.
With a new ruler of 343, it was pretty good. And while this internal war was going on, we also had war with Venice and the Knights, allowing us to secure the Greek islands. Now that the Ottomans had basically been dealt with, we had 2 new Turkish threats. We had the Mamluks, who had expanded in the weirdest way I've ever seen an AI expand, having this exclave all the way past Ekaluniu's land. And then there was also Ekaluniu himself, who was a player, who was more of a threat than Mamluks, because players are more of a threat than AIs. In this lobby, we had a no player wars in the first session, since everyone was on small nations, some nations could rush other nations better. So that meant me and Ekaluniu weren't going to fight right now. However, we did need to attack the Mamluks first, because if Ekaluniu attacked him first, he would basically block us out of expansion into Asia, and he would be able to keep expanding into the Middle East, while I was forced to basically fight a player war to expand. Since we were running behind in our ideas and technology due to bad monarch generation, we had to vassalize the Ottomans. Of course, they were going to be very pissed at us, but we were going to feed them so much land, all the Mamluk land, maybe some Ekaluniu land in the future, to basically make them loyal. We can also dev them, improve relations, do all of this shenanigans to make them loyal and like us. So we attacked the Mamluks, and of course, just a little bit later, Ekaluniu declared war on the Mamluks, and even a little bit later after that, the player on Yemen attacked the Mamluks. So now everyone was fighting the Mamluks. Luckily for me though, I got all the land that I wanted. Ekaluniu was able to siege down Cairo and Alexandria first, which meant that he was able to get enough war score to peace out first. But with him taking Alexandria in his peace deal, it was very clear where he wanted to expand. we did get our Ottoman cores back, and we also expanded into North Africa, opening a expansion place into Tunis, as well as maybe later Northern Egypt.
I'm actually surrounded by players. This next session's actually going to probably be hell, dude. What the heck, man? 565 literally has to like turn our game for us. Like I said, we've had one of the lowest mana generations in the lobby. In general, one of my games. Yeah, Lubeck is balanced. Lubeck is balanced.
It was now the second session of the game. All we had to do was integrate Bulgaria, and the next expansion, it had to be a player war. Of course, I wanted to expand into Anatolia. Byzantine have a mission that gives them permanent manpower, global manpower modifier, if they get Anatolia.
But
we're going for it.
It's
time for the Romans to go to war. Since at the time we were playing on a new patch, no one really knew what the best first idea was. However, I really felt like quality was still much better than all the other mill ideas when it came to multiplayer player wars. So we went into this war with quality ideas versus Akalyuniu's aristocratic ideas. The first battle unexpectedly took place in Amaisa. I wasn't really prepared for this. I didn't really think his units would be there in position, and we ended up getting an unfavorable battle on Highlands, leading to a loss. Akalyuniu pushed us back to Ottoman lands, where he had a really good general with 5 shock, but we committed a little harder and we engaged him. With those very close battles won, we were now in a very dominating position. We had a big chunk of his empire now sieged. However, since we were playing on vanilla, the war score crept up so slowly, and even though he was running out of juice, we only had 38% war score. The final battle was in Syria, where we still had a couple more troops and mercenaries and a quality difference, leading us to win the final battle and for Akalyuniu to peace out.
Can now call me in.
No.
No.
Ottomans were still disloyal. However, if we just remove divert trade, they would now be loyal, which is a good sign because that means that we can integrate them. Meanwhile, while this was all going on, the Provence player formed Jerusalem. I think this is the second Jerusalem I've seen in a multiplayer lobby. The other time it was formed by Naples. Dude, AQ bankrupted. I'm not gonna attack him though. I'm not gonna attack him. But no, I'm not gonna attack him. Even though it would be easy war and I could just feed more vassals or fix the admin, I'm not gonna attack him. Just let him recover and we can fight a fun war. We were now finishing our first 2 idea groups of quality and economic. Of course, in the previous patch, this would be a big power spike if we had our first 2 idea groups of quantity and economic, because you get minus 30% dev cost. However, the minus 10 dev cost that you still get from economic is still pretty huge. we could probably maintain burgher loyalty. So at this point, what I was going to do was to stack up a bunch of points. So we stack up a bunch of points and we go to our golden era and we start doing big dev cycles to start catching up. Our economy was picking up, our nation started becoming a real nation, and finally we were finishing our ideas, which is, by the way, about 10 years late. And at this point, we were hovering between non-GP and GP status. As you can see here, all we needed was to embrace the institution, and we would be a great power. While we were growing up, Kaluniu was still in recovery mode, and it was a couple years later that we attacked him. 120 discipline, that's gotta mean something. 120 discipline. Jeez. With a 20 discipline advantage on Kaluniu, this war was a lot better for us. Even though we were taking a -2 in this battle, we were doing much better casualties overall than the Kaluniu player. This just shows the power of quality and economic ideas in vanilla EU4 multiplayer. We had such a big discipline advantage versus if you went any other ideas. It's 10 discipline. If you also add 5 discipline from religion and then 5 discipline from advisor, we're now at 120 discipline. This is not even including the other 5 discipline near the end of our idea groups as Byzantine. We rushed 2 forts before Kaluniu gave up against us. At first I wasn't sure why, but it turned out the Persia player had attacked Kaluniu, something that I did not plan at all. As a matter of fact, I would much prefer to have fought him longer and more drawn out for more content. But now we had a big Syrian vassal, and we also had Ottomans more than halfway of being integrated. We were becoming stronger and stronger. Back in Africa, the rising power of Somalia, he started as that Muslim nation next to Ethiopia, I forget its name, I think it's Adel, but that he was becoming very, very strong. And not only that, he had snaked all the way up to Egypt. Meanwhile, he was invading South Africa, killing the Batua player, who begged us to help. We didn't want to have this huge ass empire right on our border, so we took the opportunity and striked. However, unfortunately for us, the Batua player gave up before we even sieged.
The Zimbabwe player left, so it kind of ruined our entire strategy to win this war. Without the Zimbabwe player down there, there is no chance. I don't think. It's very hard. We needed the Zimbabwe player there because he was holding a part of his army. State of the world. What was the piece? It was just a white piece. The game state 1527. It's really filling up. Integrated the Ottomans.
I like this. This is cute. I want this inside of me. Oh yeah.
With Kaluniu throwing in the towel, we were finally able to click our permanent manpower mission, giving us a nice little boost to our manpower. Additionally, the Serbia player had also died, and now we just had a good amount of land to expand into to Kaluniu, as well as into our east. So that's what we did in this time period. Develop, as well as watch other players have player wars.
Lawrence, what a shame! Why am
It's an innovative bait because we won't win anyway.
Oh, he might actually still win this battle.
Oh my god. You guys actually baited him. Oh my god.
Meanwhile, Persia going Zoroastrian.
Yeah, that's beast.
Yeah, Persia's Zoroastrian. What a giga Chad. In a lot of my videos, I kind of skim over like actual build up, and I kind of am here as well. You know, to most people it's boring. It's kind of the same thing in EU4. Develop, build manufactories, build manpower and force limit buildings, and prosper. Of course, we have to think about who are we going to expand in when there's no AI left. We could attack Somalia, but they're the strongest great power in the game, and we're barely 7th to 8th great power with Byzantium ideas. I saw on my west border a dying Moldova, so I did him a favor and finished him off. And our next target after that was the nation of Persia. I felt like we could really expand our economy and our trade by getting some of that juicy Persian trade into our Constantinople node. We even stacked up a war chest, but right when I declared war, I got attacked by Andalusia. Luckily, he just wanted the stuff in Tunis that I had, which was about like 6-7 provinces, some of them just desert provinces that didn't mean anything. But the next surprise came when Vijayanagar came all the way from India to defend Persia. We were now in a 2 versus 1 situation, with no one to help us. So if we wanted to win this war, we need to do it ourselves. So we built more troops and committed more. We also had to get a bit more creative with our strategy, using the terrain to our advantage and doing troop cuts to stop reinforcements. Vijayanagar was using his Marathas estate to max capacity, giving him Prussia-like discipline, but that didn't stop us. And after sieging the Persian capital, Persia told us to send him the peace deal. And so we did, netting us big land in Mesopotamia. We had won in a pretty timely manner, which meant that we could use this time to recover and fix our economy, as well as scale. Surely no one will declare war on us, right? Nope! Ethiopia, which was formed by Somalia, declared war on us, knowing that we were in a weakened state. However, Croatia decided that he wanted to help us, since Ethiopia was the #1 GP, and for some reason, Vijayanagar wanted to help us? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The diplomacy in this game has officially devolved into clown fiesta status. But hey, I'll take all the help I can get. With the help of the boys, we were able to push Ethiopia back out of our lands. But Ethiopia, being the big nation that he was, simply committed more and was able to hold us on Syrian land. It wasn't until Vijayanagar's winged elephants arrived that we started turning the tide, finally being able to push Ethiopia into his own land. And it wasn't until we reached the mountains of Karak that we were in a stalemate war, and both Croatia and Vijayanagar weren't very keen in staying this war for very long. So it was time to negotiate with Ethiopia.
Let's not fight this war. I'm just gonna give him Egypt, guys.
It's up to you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. You win some, you lose some. I give up part of Egypt, and we can focus on building up.
Us Romans, we do not forgive, and we do not forget. But first, we have to build, and we have to build a lot. There's no way that we were going to beat Ethiopia in a 1 versus 1 in our current state. And in this game, we opted for a quality quantity build. Yes, very boring, but hey, it still works, especially if you already have a lot of manpower and force limit modifiers. As a matter of fact, we were reaching the #1 max manpower in the game, despite not even being a great power at this time. And I kid you not, for 20 years in the game, my buildings and provinces all look like this. Every single province building something, and we were now ready to win.
Come on, come on! Give me morale event. Give me morale event.
And at this stage, we were a compact empire, but we could pack a punch. And it was time to strike Ethiopia. We had 300,000 troops ready for combat and another 500k in reserve. Croatia wanted to help me in this war, even though I think I could have won the war alone. But Croatia insisted, so I let him in, and he helped us with 100k troops. The Ethiopia player put ramparts on his forts, but since this was vanilla, you can just rush forts and the ramparts don't even matter. As a matter of fact, they kind of hurt him more than help him, because I was able to rush Karak before he could even get an army near me, because rushing forts is so powerful in vanilla EU4. Now that rampart he built helps me instead of him. Don't build ramparts in vanilla MP, guys. Just rush forts. Just rush forts.
Wait, I'm attacking to a -2 here.
Yeah, that's why I said choose.
I'll retreat. I'll do one try. I'll retreat.
Oh, there's only a 200k death stack. You might actually get wiped here. You get those.
I'm getting a 14k sack wipe. Oh, stop.
Oh, he's going in with low morale. He's getting baited.
The one tile retreat, dude.
To fight fighting a 6-6 general. So that's
Oh god.
Oh no! Oh no, it's all split up! Oh. I'm sure a 6-6 general is not gonna hurt.
We're watching the
Is it 6-5 or 6-6? It's 6.
Oh, that's a over. That's a stack.
No, it's not overstacking if you're winning.
There goes his cannons retreating because, of course, you know, cannons retreat now.
No, he's retreating out of the battle and retreating back in again. That's just fine. Just do that counts.
I have that. Oh no, it's because there's a rampart here.
There's a rampart here. That actually said the worst building you can build.
Yeah, you just kind of assault the fort against ramparts, and then if you can't assault the fort, you have to wait forever. Though.
We were able to push Ethiopia all the way past his own capital. And just like that, we were pieced out, giving some of Egypt to Croatia, something I didn't really want to do, but I felt obliged to since he helped out. Our next war, I wanted it to be a 1 versus 1. Now we need to build universities. Yeah, back to building buildings. Wow, great gameplay. We're still not a great power. We're close, but we're not a great power. We do have the biggest manpower in the game, max manpower, and by a lot too. The next guy, Crimea, has 50k less max manpower than us. Our income is, it's pretty good for the time, I guess, but not the highest. I think it's like 5th highest or something like that without the subsidies. With the subsidies, it puts us to like 4th, I think. Yeah, Lubeck is giving us subsidies, lol. And it was back to developing our land. Something you'll see a lot in vanilla multiplayer games is that there's huge build-up periods. And actually, it's not that good to be fighting a lot of player wars, since it stunts your growth so much, and you'll end up getting killed by your other neighbors. And of course, with the university techs, we're building universities in every single province to increase our deving. All very standard gameplay when playing EU4 MP. Once we had literally no buildings to build, it was time to fight Ethiopia. And this time, I wanted to fight him alone, and I knew I could beat him, even though Ethiopia was still number 2 GP, and I was number 8. GP count doesn't really matter when you have higher discipline and the same income. The only advantage that Ethiopia had was that he had 100,000 bigger force limit. I compensated this by going 150,000 over my own force limit. Initially, I went for a cutoff strategy where I would kind of push Ethiopia between both Arabia and his Egyptian land. Of course, since we cut him off in the Sinai Peninsula, he had to go around through his strait crossing in Yemen and Ethiopia. Our first moves in this 1v1 were very successful, and we were able to win very key battles on forts as well as on normal flat terrain. It seemed like I had slightly better quality and around the same amount of troops, which if Ethiopia didn't commit harder, we would win in the long run. And as it stood, it was a very fun 1v1 so far. But then Andalusia joined the war, and he was bringing his entire army. I now was in a 1 versus 2, but not only just a 1 versus 2, we were in a 1 versus 2 versus the number 1 and number 2 great powers. Immediately, I started looking for allies to help me, as there was no way I could win against both of them alone. The war quickly devolved into World War I style fronts, where I held in Karak until I could get the next tech and wait for allies to join, which both Croatia and Italy said they would. Once I got the tech and their troops arrived, it was time to strike. And now, the war was literally a World War I style war, where we were just fighting battles on fronts and just reinforcing and engaging. By the way, this is before we discovered the new multiplayer late game meta, which you will see in my Norway to USA video. And I'm not joking when I say this literally was a grind fest where we were hours, literal hours fighting on the same front. Battle after battle after battle after battle after battle. And I kid you not, years of in-game years, the front nearly looked exactly the same. It wasn't until Ethiopia started running out of manpower that we actually started making bigger and longer lasting moves. And even that didn't last because Andalusia just started committing more troops, as well as navally invading and blockading our lands, which really hurt our economy as they were also privateering our main node. This war was the definition of pain, and we couldn't even peace out despite holding the war goal for 20 years because of how vanilla war score works. So while Andalusia was in Egypt, we tried to make some plays in Arabia, isolating Ethiopia's army, which kind of worked until Ethiopia brought more troops down and we had to leave. And since Andalusia was able to hold fronts, and again, this is vanilla, so you could just use generals to get army professionalism,
the war basically just lasted forever. When every time someone was running out of manpower, they would just make 5 generals and hit the army slacking button. And after a while, I decided that this was the time to strike. Since I was able to build a lot more troops, I used my last slacken and built another 100k over my force limit, pushing back Andalusia and Ethiopia once again from Egypt. And this time it actually mattered, and we were able to push even further down. It took 18 years and thousands of ducats of debt to finally get a position outside of Egypt, pushing them all the way down to Ethiopia. And after winning a battle on their capital, sieging it down and pushing past their capital, Ethiopia finally threw the towel in and unconditionally surrendered. Once again, I had to give land to my allies since they committed a lot to this war. I mean, I didn't have to, but I wanted to. And that leads us to the end of this campaign. Kind of anticlimactic, no Roman restoration, which is probably impossible unless you're playing against literal plants, like actual house plants on the keyboard. But maybe we can make that as a goal for this channel. Maybe one day I'll form Roman Empire as Byzantium in an MP lobby. Maybe. But that's where the game ends. And you can see me, I'm complaining a bit about vanilla MP. The thing is, the game isn't balanced for MP, and I don't expect the Paradox developers to balance the game for multiplayer. There's a lot of issues, and you could see them in this campaign. Wars last forever, since war score doesn't really scale very fast, or it caps on a very low percentage. And because wars last forever, fighting fair wars actually hurt you a lot in vanilla multiplayer. If you end up being in a war that's actually fair and it lasts 10, 20 years, you're going to end up behind compared to all of your neighbors, or even bankrupt. Which kind of makes you feel like you shouldn't fight a fair war, or you should gank, or you should wait until someone else kills someone and then you just eat and vulture off their carcass. All kind of meh gameplay in my opinion. The other issue I have in vanilla is that there's still too much dev cost reduction in vanilla. Yeah, they nerfed it already in the last patch, but even in this game, the game didn't even reach 1700, and there was players with 1,500 dev clicks. Some players literally click dev buttons 1,500 times before it even reached 1700. That's just crazy. Another issue is the power of privateering. It's just way too strong, and there's kind of no counterplay. Plus, there's still that bug where you can keep your entire privateer navy in a dock and it will still have full privateering efficiency without leaving the dock. Kind of gamey. And when it comes to ideas, at first we were all really excited because maybe, oh, the MP meta has changed. But not really. Quality economic is just the best 2 first ideas you can go hands down in multiplayer, and no one can change my mind on that, as still the policy plus the discipline plus all the other things quality give you, you just will have the best troop quality unless someone has the same ideas. And don't even get me started on the newly discovered late game meta. In my USA video, my Norway to USA video, yes, I know I did that before. That was one of my first popular videos, but I did it again. And when we reached the late game fighting and war meta is so mind-bogglingly stupid that it's actually hilarious. It's so ridiculous, and I can't wait to share it with you guys when that video is released. But if you watched my stream, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And guys, I still love EU4. I love the game. But when it comes to multiplayer, I'm going to stick to my mods. I'm going to stick to my gecko. I hope this gives you guys, the casuals, and people that don't even touch MP or even EU4, an insight on why we always play modded multiplayer. It's a lot better experience, guys. It's a way better experience. And if you played MP, you would know that too. Thanks for watching, guys. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!